Welcome, dear listeners, to the Speak and Flow podcast, where we share unique experiences to help you unleash your leadership voice. Today, I have an amazing leader. You're going to be so excited. I'm excited. We have Prat, Nair, who is the Vice President of Operations for Fisk Electric. Hi, Prat. Good to see you.
Hi, Melinda. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you share with the audience what you do as a VP of Operations?
Sure. So I'm currently the VP of Operations for the projects in California for Fisk Electric. Most of the projects, actually all of our projects in California are large transportation, transit projects, include the California high-speed rail package from Madera to Fresno, the Purple Line Section 2 and Section 3 projects, which are the underground subway extending the red line to the new Purple Line for LA Metro, which includes 4 underground stations and 2 tunnels under Wilshire. Some big mega projects, and then we also have a Division 20 turnback yard, which is the maintenance yard for LA Metro for their third rail system, where all the Purple Line and Red Line trains come to kind of get turned back and maintained on before they enter revenue service. So we're expanding that project as well. So yeah, some really large projects. I mean, right now, and they're over $500 million of backlog in Fisk, and
Wow.
yeah, challenging.
Wow. Well, congratulations on your success. I mean, some people might want more projects. For you, you're like, okay, how do I handle all these big, complicated projects? And so what are some of the huge, there's so many, it's so complicated in your eyes, like what are the challenges that you see?
So, I mean, the first challenge is finding the right skill set to, it's a very specialized industry. I think the rail industry, had a low period, and in what 20 years ago or so, it was probably had a low period, and there's not a lot of awareness in the industry on on this amazing industry that generates a lot of jobs and generates just there's a lot of action, and while people don't, I guess, find rail to be sexy in the market of electric cars and Google and all these techies. I think there's a lot of technical skill that's required to kind of make these things work and make sure they're safe, and that at the end of the day it can serve the public in the most safest manner possible. So I mean, just a lack of skill set is our biggest challenge. So a lot of times we are constantly training entry-level engineers and to kind of learn about this. And the advantage is, I mean, these jobs are typically 7 to 10 years and sometimes longer. There's a lot of stakeholders involved with the cities and the different government agencies, utilities. So they take a long time, and so it's good that we can get some entry-level engineers and train them on some of the functions, on how to do some of these things. But at the same time, the biggest challenge we have is trying to keep them motivated, because the end is not near, not in sight. And a lot of times they haven't seen what the end looks like. They don't really know what they're working towards. I think so. It's been very challenging to keep them motivated. And, and I think especially with the current, generation, in terms of the current graduates we have, I think they're looking for that immediate feedback for everything. And they're, if you ask any one of them, like, hey, what do you want to do in 5 years? They're like, oh, I want to be a project manager. I want to lead people and manage. And a lot of times I'm just, well, if you don't know what the end looks like, how can you manage something that when you don't know what the end looks like? And so I think it's been challenging to keep them engaged and keeping, retain people and keeping them motivated. So that's been a huge challenge for us. So I mean, as a leader, I kind of, my approach is quite, I'm not a very title, I'm not title heavy vice president, just show up and flex. It's not. I think my approach is more, I always say my role is a support role. My first job is to support the project in terms of what they need, and I think I make it very clear. Okay, nothing is below me in terms of, if I need to go do what an engineer does on the first thing, I do it. If they're falling behind, I step in. So what that does, it does create some comfort for people to approach me. So I think I'm pretty approachable to people. People reach out to me, engineers reach out to me directly asking for help if they need to, and a lot of communication. So I tend to be pretty open in my leadership style. I know there are things, there's things you can share and things you cannot, but in terms of what I can share, I try to share, if in terms of where the company is doing, where some of the challenges are, how we're looking at financials, just try to be open about it. And I think it does generate some engagement from employees when when you share with them, and the other thing that, we have a pretty low retention. I mean, pretty high retention in terms of employees,
How many people do you have on your team?
So teams, I mean, they vary, anywhere from, I think right now from a salaried staff, probably 60-ish people.
Right. And then you have,
but I mean, right. Yeah. I think mostly, we have, we're a union contractor. So we have a lot of, support in terms of our craft labor from the local unions we work at. So yeah, so our project can be, I mean, you could have 100 to 200, electricians plus the staff, and, to ensuring that everyone does what they need to do and stay safe and kind of work through that whole project cycle for, the 7 to 10 years, can be challenging. So
yeah. And how have you helped them to feel motivated?
How
can you tell they're not motivated?
You can tell because the work doesn't get done, right?
The work doesn't get done. It's just like
right. Yeah. So I mean, we try to do things. I mean, there's two types of management style. One is obviously, there's always these, especially entry-level engineers that don't have the skill set to know what to get done. So we have this task-based management, and then we have these ownership-based management where, when they have the experience, we give them the ownership and say, you own it, and then deal with it. I think the biggest help we've had is we do a lot of sit downs and we talk to our employees.
Right.
I say engineers, but most of our staff are engineers, but we talk to them a lot. We have sit downs with people to constantly give them feedback on how they're doing.
People, you're talking to 60 different people.
Yeah, we talk to a lot of people. Yes. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Now keep in mind, I mean, I think again, the idea is that as managers, you shouldn't be managing more than 3 or 4 people, right? So, but I do try to stay engaged with the project, and I have, they have their own supervisors, and so I always bring them in, and it's not, but I think talking to people, especially when you have these jobs, I mean, people have personal issues they're dealing with. People have, there's a lot of things can happen in 7 to 10 years, right? People get married, kids. Yeah. There's a lot of right. Cheating. Divorce. Exactly. So there's just so many variables. So trying to keep someone, I think the biggest thing that has helped is to communicate with them and how they're doing, and not sugarcoat when they're not doing well either. Right. I mean, but I always try to, well, I'd say majority of the time, because sometimes you got to be a stickler and kind of make a point. But a lot of times I try not to put people in a defensive mode, because the minute you put somebody and you tell somebody, hey, you're doing a crappy job, and they're defensive, then everything that comes out after that is I don't, there's no value in it. So I try to keep it engaged. I try to say something, even if there's something negative about the person, I'll say, hey, here's what it is, but here's what I can do. Here's what we can do to kind of help you get back there, or we'll add some resources to help you out. So they feel like they're not alone on an island by themselves. So that has helped us, keep the motivation. And honestly, because I probably more engaged than I should be at the level of leadership. But I think what that does is it allows me to kind of see people and how they perceive things and how they take things, and and see changes. And because I'm maybe in the weeds a little bit more than I should be, it does, I think I have a better idea of how people are performing, and as a result, we can reward the people that are performing, and and have them grow within the company. So
well, I think that shows that you care, that it shows that you are there for them, and exactly when, I mean, you've seen that type of leader, because earlier you said, what type of leadership style, and some people, like, when you're there for them more, they feel more valued, and then you can start to know when it is that you give them the ownership, like when it is that you let them go and just take it off and run with it, right? So it's like, Yeah, knowing
Yeah,
when
no,
to.
I find maybe I'm an emotional leader in a way. I think
Yeah.
emotional intelligence is critical, and I think emotionally being there is important because I think I've seen it because I've worked for people that are engaged and are people that are like high level. Hey, come to me if you have a problem. Otherwise, kind of stay away, and that works in regard too because it empowers people to make decisions. And so I there's a fine line between being involved and
Right.
empowering people to do what they need to do. So,
Right.
that sometimes, sometimes I pull myself back and say, okay, well, I'm not going to do it for them because then all you're doing is kind of doing it for them. Then they don't
Right.
feel the satisfaction of completing something on their own. So it's a fine
Exactly.
line. It really is a fine line. So
Exactly. Especially if, like you said, this project is so long. Like, how
yeah.
about celebrating all those small little, do you do that? Like small little
So
milestones, really
it's
celebrate that more?
I mean, I wish we do more. Honestly, I think as an industry, I think we're just so, there's time is very limited and there's so much to get done. I mean,
Mm.
just to get through the design and the submittal process to get everything approved. I mean, it could take 4 years into the job. And so there's a lot of things. I mean, we have, I don't know, 6,000, 7,000 submittals that we have to do. And, it's just so much. So I wish we do more. I mean, we do the lunches and, we do things like that. And, but I think as a company, I wish we do more.
Mm.
If it's up to me, I probably would. I think as an industry, the culture of,
Yeah.
doing those kind of things don't really exist,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, if it's up to me, I would say that we should try to do more, more engagement and more team building. And like, we've done a few, like we've done an escape room, we've done some things to
Oh,
kind of,
cool.
cheer up, but no, not enough, honestly.
And how about you? Like, how do you as a leader stay motivated? You have to motivate everybody else. And then what about you?
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, one is, going through the LA traffic and trying to go through all these places, it can be quite challenging. And, that's when you're glad that you're building a train line to kind of improve the situation as a whole. No, it is. I mean, I have a very good relationship with my boss, and we talk about strategies and things all the time. And, I think we kind of, I always say we're the yin and yang because we are so different in our outlook on things, but it works really well because we are kind of opposites.
Yeah.
So the challenges he has, I think I have the strengths and the things I struggle with. So I think that really helps being able to talk to someone, not like by appointment, but almost like an open door. We constantly talk and strategize things, and we try things, and if it fails, we try something else. So I think that surely, I think having a supportive, boss helps, because that keeps you engaged and kind of motivated. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, trust me, there are, every 2 or 3 years, you're like, oh, I just need to apply for another job, and I'm just so tired of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But no, I think the biggest thing is, being, again, I think it really helps that I am engaged with the people, because I think if I was disconnected with the people, I wouldn't have a personal stake in the success of everyone, and people I've hired and people made commitments to and things like that. And if I didn't have those things, I probably wouldn't be as motivated because I'm like, it's another place. But I think all those things really help. And I think so. Just to summarize, I think having that communication style of being approachable, people can talk to, but at the same time, they know you're the boss and you need something. Having that fine line. Being there in front of them to see, so they understand, you understand the struggles as well. I think all those things kind of create a good camaraderie in the group, and it helps.
Yeah.
It helps.
Oh my gosh, it helps so much. Can you imagine them being in a community or an environment where there's no manager? They would be gone. They would
Right.
just, if there was no manager to support them, they would literally be out the door. So I
Yes.
love, like, a lot of times, and this goes for everybody in the audience, when we're in an environment, we cannot do, I mean, the environment is what it is, right? Sometimes we can make
Yep.
it move a little bit, but it is what it is. So I love that you're finding your why. Like, you're finding the reason for being here. Like you said, if it weren't for the people or weren't for your manager, then you have no stake in it. So you might be doing something else. So because you found your why and you supporting these people, your team, your manager, all of you lifting each other up. I mean, you're obviously building skills and bonds and experiences. that may
Yeah.
not show on the sheet, the bid
Yeah.
sheet, the project timeline. But it probably will. I mean, I think it does in some ways, right? The camaraderie that you can
Yeah.
go through different obstacles.
It does. It does
Journey, it does.
because you make money if your people are motivated and do it correctly.
Motivated
So
to do it. Yeah.
right.
So you have a solid team, right? So I really believe that. And I think that that's all because, like you said, you're like like a leader that has high empathy and also it's rare to have both the engineering
Right.
skill set and capacity and also the people capacity. So kudos to you. They're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So could you share what is one leadership tip for the audience that you can share to help build their voice, to help build them as a leader?
Yeah, I think stay engaged.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a big problem I see is that when people get promoted, they tend to look. I mean, again, as leaders, we need to be looking ahead and looking at the big picture and those things. But at the same time, I think we need to communicate those vision clearly
Yeah.
to your employees. I think it's when we're falling behind. I mean, someone needs a talk, then we need to give the talk. But at the same time, you need to do it in a compassionate way and understanding and I guess have a pulse on the things you do, because if you get disconnected, then really all you're getting is a story that someone else is telling you and painting a different picture. And I always say that it's like playing telephone, right? By the time you get the final news, it's like the words is like something else, right? So I
Right.
think it's important to stay engaged and be approachable, but it's not really not to break the chain of command and kind of respect the chain of command, but at the same time stay engaged enough that what's going on, and I think that changes the trajectory of, at least in my experience, that has helped me grow. I mean, I'm 39 years old right now, and I think I'm doing quite well for these large projects with
Right.
my and I don't I'm not a third year guy in the industry, so I think a lot of that comes from being engaged, being engaged with people and not letting go. I think that really helps. And people having like I said, empathy. People are going through stuff. Work is not the only thing they do. People want to do other stuff, and offering some flexibility in that regard, helps and goes a long way. And if someone works a Saturday, I'll be like, okay, you take a day off, no problem. Having those kind of things, because the reality is like like one of the things I do is, if someone has to work a Saturday or a Sunday because things come up, I would say, okay, you know what, take another day somewhere. We understand. You're away from your family. I mean, having those little things, they help. They help keep your employees engaged, and hopefully they respect you at that time to stay with you. So
Yes, yes, yes. Well, obviously you're successful and you've done a great job because your retention rate, the people, like I said, they're really there to support you. So congratulations on all your work with that.
thank
And
you.
thank you so much, Prat, for sharing that knowledge. So stay engaged, stay curious with your people, connected to your people,
Right.
and
Yes.
you'll go far. We don't want to climb this mountain alone. We want to be with
Yeah.
we want to bring
Yeah.
our
I mean,
people along.
I mean, that's the thing. Right? You want to be on the top of the ladder. You need all the rungs, and you need somebody to
Yeah,
hold the ladder. So
exactly.
yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
of course.
I learned so much, and I trust also the listeners who are here. Hey, if you want to get into railway and engineering, I mean, it's a lucrative, like you said.
It is right now. I mean, just to give you a heads up. I mean, we're right now building for the Olympics in 28.
Yes.
I mean, if you get curious, if you go to LA Metro's website and look at all the capital projects that are coming, I mean, there's projects all the way to 2045, 2050, just in LA, right? So that's just the construction side of it. Then there's a maintenance side of keeping these things up. LA Metro has a lot of openings. On the contractor side, there's maintenance programs. I mean, so it's a very lucrative industry. It's a very specialized industry. And the good thing is we kind of know all the players in the industry because it's such a small community.
Yeah.
And I think I think from a conversation, I mean, it's hard to keep up with the tech companies and that stuff. But also I always say the tech companies is an up and down industry. Well, construction is like when the economy is booming, they spend on infrastructure. When the economy is going down, they spend on infrastructure, right? So there's always that continuous, security, in the workplace, and I think there's a lot of stability in what we do, and I think, and honestly, I think as an industry, the transportation industry tend to pay more than the standard construction industry, because we understand the challenges of working on these long jobs, and there's a lot more compensation available for that. So I really hope that if you're interested, you could always reach out to me, or I'm on LinkedIn, and if you have questions about the industry, do reach out. I'd love to talk to you, and help you kind of understand the industry, and the potential options available to grow within the industry. So I'm hoping to retire in this industry. It's challenging, and it's political in regards, and there's a lot of things happening, and I would surely say that if you are considering the industry, I think a strong communication, and being type A, having the skill set of you need to be able to communicate. I think if you're it's perfectly fine if you are like a introverted person. I don't think that's the issue. I think it does require a lot of communication, because you're working with so many elements and so many disciplines and contractors, and if you don't have a strong communication, you tend to not be successful in this industry.
Right. So yeah, even if you are an engineer at heart and love the numbers and love sitting behind the spreadsheets, it's still, you all need to have that communication. And especially if you're a woman, you're going to stand out. So get out there.
It's funny. I do see, that, since you bring that topic, so I have two daughters, I always, when I drive through these construction sites, and I always point out hey, and the first thing they always ask me, well, I don't see any women construction workers. So, it is good. Like these LA Metro jobs, surely women in construction it hasn't been a, thing. And now, there are, it's coming. And actually we have several electricians that are, that are women, and actually even on these big projects, there's actually a requirement to engage more women in the industry. So I know I'm hoping we can motivate more women. And honestly, in my experience, not to be, taking a position, but when it comes to, I think women are required in the construction industry, because I feel like their skill sets, there are some skill set that women bring that I think, in terms of organizational, in terms of tracking stuff, and, there's things I've had that I think women do a better job. And I've hopefully, I shouldn't be saying that, but really they do a better job at keeping things organized, that, that I think we as men struggle, sometimes. And so I think I wish, and I hope, more women can come into the industry, and it's changed. It was the change before. I think it was kind of tough for women to be in the industry, and I think people have changed, and I think the outlook on women in that regard has changed. And like I said, I agree, both on the owner side and on the contractor side. I think there's more. I'm glad to see more women coming in the industry, and I think my younger daughter already told me she wants to do what I do for a living. So
awesome. That's so cute. That's so cute. I love that. Oh, good. I love that. And on that note, we're gonna end it. I think that was a great positive message to share. And so reach out to Prat if you have any questions about the industry. He's looking for great workers, engineers, and so reach out. Thank you, Prat, so much for your time, for your expertise. It's been great.
Thank you, Melinda, for having me.
Thank you. Bye, listeners. Until next time, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.